Shit. I want people who want to recruit the DMV. I want winners.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.
Yes, sir. The day is finally here. My Virginia Tech Hokies have gotten rid of one Justin Fuente. Coach Fuente, salute to you, man. I know how hard it is in this particular business right here. I come from the business, so I'm not one of these fans running around here all super happy about coaches losing their job, because I understand the toll that it takes on a family. And by all measure, Coach Fuente is a really good person. He's probably not a bad coach. It was just a horrible fit for what we're trying to get done here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, baby. So arrivederci, my man Fuente. Hopefully you land on your feet somewhere back in Texas to where you can recruit Texas kids, because I want someone in Blacksburg who wants to recruit the DMV area and wants to dominate the state of Virginia and not let guys like Travion Henderson get away. You know what I mean? Or a Devin Ford. All these guys that we see around here that have made their way in the DMV, a Caleb Williams, all these type of guys. Imagine if these guys were on Virginia Tech right now and how much better the Hokies would be, and the type of pride that they would have playing for the Virginia Tech Hokies, man. With all that tradition we have there, we still have a lot of tradition to sell with the bow streak. Of course, Coach Beamer is an iconic figure. Michael Vick will always be an iconic figure, and he's definitely an iconic figure right now to a lot of these kids who are in high school, especially in this area. That ain't going to stop, man. There's a whole bunch of shit to sell where you don't have to go run into Texas to try to get some kids. It's all right there in your back pocket. So I'm sorry. It is what it is on that front, man. I am absolutely through the roof thinking about the choices that they can make right here. But I'm gonna be honest with you right here. I've been working the phones and working some sources and stuff like that. So I want to go through some of these guys who I would like to see the Virginia Tech Hokies go after. I'm going to have a couple of different tiers here. This is probably going to take me a while, so go ahead and strap in. I said strap in. I didn't say strap up. I mean, you dudes out there be a little kumsa. So, but before I get started on that, there's a couple of things that I have to address because it's been going around here at the channel, and I already put it out there in the ethers. First and foremost, I talked about Dan Mullen, a team that I cover here on the channel, right? It's funny, I cover all these teams because I never wanted to cover the Virginia Tech Hokies because I don't want nobody to talk to me about the Virginia Tech Hokies, to be honest with you. I'd rather go through life and just enjoy that shit the way I've been enjoying it my whole life, by myself or with the people who know me, not people on the internet, because the first thing they want to do is they want to try to get at you by talking about something. Like if they're mad at you, the first thing, the minute I told people is like everything went out the roof. I've been around 8 years in the media capacity, not ever talking about Virginia Tech to people that I don't know or anything like that. And the minute I say something, these people, you're just a salty Virginia Tech fan. And I'm like, what the fuck that got to do with me covering the Florida Gators and stuff like that? So that's what you get. But guess what? It's a new day. It's all good, baby. You can do what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and fly high and loud and proud. Virginia Tech Hokies for life. So I talked about Dan Mullen and his tenure at we'll get there, his tenure with the Florida Gators and how it's an untenable situation and it's a poor fit. Very much like Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech was a poor fit. I don't know. It's not like that because Dan Mullen won 11 games and then won 10 games, and then won the SEC East title just last season. In those 3 seasons, he's having a poor season this year, but guess what? They were meant to have a poor season because of the setup of the team and them losing generational talent, right? But their fans don't understand this. A whole bunch of goofballs there that don't understand that, and they don't like Dan Mullen. They don't like his personality. That'll never change. He's going to always be strange and awkward. They don't like his recruiting prowess. That's not going to change. He's always going to be strange and awkward. However, him going to a place where the recruiting standards are a little bit different, he will be fine. He had back-to-back top 10 classes at the University of Florida, and that's not good enough there. And I understand that because of the tradition that Florida has. So Just because it's not a good fit at Florida doesn't mean it wouldn't be a great fit at Virginia Tech. This guy can coach some quarterbacks. His offenses are always going to be good. He's putting guys in the NFL at the quarterback position. Who did Coach Fuente put in the NFL? I'll hang up and wait from the quarterback position. Dry Evans 1 year, he ain't in the NFL. There's a whole bunch of Dan Mullen guys in the NFL. He took a guy like Kyle Trask, a 2-star guy, and people aren't going to give him credit for that, which I don't understand. He worked with Felipe Franks. Both of those guys are in the NFL. And that's just in his little 3-year or now almost 4-year Florida tenure. So he would be a perfect fit. Now, me talking to a source, he said that he thinks it would be a perfect fit because that guy can call the hell out of some plays. He can design an offense. He had a number 3 passing offense last year. Had a guy put up almost, 4,500 yards or something like that. Kyle Trask was almost about to win the Heisman. Comes this year, totally different quarterback in Emory Jones. And now at one particular point in time, they were number 2 in the nation in rushing. So that's 2 totally different ways of operating. That's how much I think of this guy. I think he's an offensive genius, and people are going, I don't give a fuck what you say, right? You're watching me. I'm not watching you. So you have your opinion. I'm going to have my opinion, and that's what it is right there. Dan Mullen to Virginia Tech will be phenomenal, and I would bring Emory Jones with me if I was Dan Mullen. That would be absolutely perfect. Emory Jones way better than Braxton Burmeister. Anything you think Braxton Burmeister can do, Emory Jones can do better. Emory Jones may not be as explosive of an athlete, but he's more durable. He's a bigger guy, at least frame-wise. He very much plays like my God, Tyrod Taylor, the way he throws. They have that same type of motion. I'm not saying he's Tyrod Taylor by any stretch of the imagination, but he would obviously have Dan Mullen's offense down packed, being as though he's been in it 4 years now. He's his first-time starter, and those people turned on him within 2 or 3 games. Dan Mullen to Virginia Tech, that will be one of my number 1 options there. James Franklin at Penn State, that will be my number 1 option, but I was told, just like Dan Mullen, I guess I buried the lead there, that I don't think Virginia Tech could afford these guys. Now, that's kind of disappointing to me. I looked it up. Fuente was making $4.25 million. I think Dan Mullen is making like $7 million. However, yeah, that's a pretty big discrepancy there. So I don't spend other people's money. I don't profess to know how much money Virginia Tech has to spend on a coach. I was told that Virginia Tech is one of the most poorest paying schools as far as the assistants go and everything like that. So I might need to temper my expectations on head coaches like James Franklin and Dan Mullen. So that's cool. Those are my long shot type guys there. I think there's other guys I think that I even like just as much, but to me, those would be the ultimate. If they could get a James Franklin, because he recruits the state of Virginia better than anybody in the country, and he recruits the DMV. You go look all up and down that Penn State roster, man. Those guys kill it. Absolutely kill it there. From his time at Maryland, he's developed and cultivated those relationships in the DMV area. And, that's my number 1 thing right there. I want that. So speaking of, before I get to my candidates, I'm going to get to a name that I was told here, and it made my heart sink. And it's the reason why I've been kind of waiting around right here. So this video might be, even though it might be 15 or 30 minutes or something like that, it may be done over the span of 5 or 6 hours because I was getting information and hitting up different sources and stuff like that. So this next name right here, let me know what you think about this one right here, Hokie Nation. Will Healy from Charlotte. Now, listen, if you walk through those doors and you throw on that maroon, right, that maroon and orange, I'm going to support you. But as it stands right now, I can't get down with Will Healy from Charlotte, and there's no disrespect to him. I'm pretty sure he's a good coach, but I want someone that's going to breathe life into the program at least through their name value, and then at least on the recruiting trail. Who is Will Healy recruiting at Charlotte that could help Virginia Tech right now? What type of inroads could he have made in certain schools or certain pockets of the area or any area that would lead him to some of these top players? Come on, man. You can't be serious with this one. Now, obviously, what he has going for him is he went to the University of Richmond. He was Dave Clawson's quarterback, right? Now, Dave Clawson, that wouldn't be a bad idea right there. But him being Dave Clawson's former quarterback and then being at Charlotte, and before that, I want to say UT Chattanooga or something like that. He's never had a high-level D1 job. He has never been around those types of players. That does not mean he can't be successful at Virginia Tech, but it does mean he's going to arrive with a side eye. People give him like, what? Like, huh? So I was told from a source he's some type of good fundraiser or something like that, which I don't care about. But like I said before, you can't spend other people's money. Or maybe that's something that they care about. Maybe Whit Babcock likes some shit like that. Nah, come on, man. I don't even want to put that. I don't want to put too much attention to that, man, because I honestly don't want it to come true, right? Fast forward 25 years later, he killing it though. Then, you know what I mean? Erase the tapes. But I'm not saying that he couldn't do a good job or anything of the sort. I just don't. I just can't rock with that, right? Just me personally. I just can't rock with that if that's the case. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna go ahead and move on from there and get to some of the guys that I like. Let's talk about Josh Gaddis, formerly of Penn State, formerly of Alabama, and currently the offensive coordinator at Michigan. Josh Gaddis is that dude. I'm here to tell you right now, he is a rising star in this business. He was at Alabama for 1 year, and Nick Saban was so mad that dude only spent 1 year there, man. So he probably burned the bridge there. But Nick Saban loved this dude so much, but Gaddis wanted to become a play caller, offensive coordinator, and Nick Saban wasn't going to actually let him do that. He was the co-offensive coordinator at Alabama, but he was primarily just the wide receivers coach, while Mike Locksley, the head coach now at Maryland, was the play caller. So he got to be with, think about the guys that he's been with. He started at Penn State, at least when I first noticed him, under James Franklin, obviously my number one guy. So he has that right there. He recruits the Eastern Seaboard area. He's really good in New Jersey and New York. But he specializes in getting really good wide receivers. And, of course, he's a play caller. So he's gotten guys, 5 stars like Justin Shorter. All these lit guys at Penn State, he had a hand in getting back then. KJ Hamler from the Denver Broncos now. A whole bunch. John Mechie at Alabama right now. That was his guy. So that man right there can recruit, and he understands the fabric of the area. He played at Wake Forest, and, of course, being at Penn State, Alabama, and recruiting this area and up and down the Eastern Seaboard there, I don't see how you could even think about this guy and not give him a shot. He's ready. He was under Franklin, and then being under Nick Saban, seeing how they do it there at the Capstone, Alabama there, and then has been under John Harbaugh, calling the plays for John Harbaugh, a noted play caller himself. Harbaugh trusted this man to come in and change up the offense. So they were going primarily to a spread when he first got there, very much similar to what they were doing at Alabama at the time. Remember, he was there when Tua Tagovailoa was there. That was that 2018 season. Now they're doing a lot more of the pro-style elements there. He has Blake Corum. He's working with a running back from Virginia who should have been a Hokie himself. I love that kid, Blake Corum. Perfect, man. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. I want somebody. The defensive won't be a problem at Virginia Tech. I like what Justin Hamilton is doing. If J-Ham were to stay on board, I would be cool with that as well. If you got Josh Gaddis, Josh Gaddis calls his own plays, works with wide receivers, he can then in turn go hire a quarterbacks coach, just a quarterbacks coach, while he still works with some wide receivers. Maybe he obviously would hire a wide receiver coach as well, but being able to have him, or if he wanted to just go ahead and work with just the quarterbacks, but someone who calls their own plays who will go down with this ship. Coach Fuente was supposed to be that, but obviously your boy Brad Cornelson was the guy who called all the plays at Virginia Tech, and I believe he did that for him at Memphis as well, at least the final season. So he didn't go down swinging to me. He should have called his own plays, and then maybe we would have seen what he was about and developed the QBs. Cornelson was doing both of those. I think Josh Gaddis could be, at the very least, a play caller, and I think that attracts kids these days and age that wants to play quarterback at the next level, because that's very hot right now. Lincoln Riley and Dan Mullen and these guys, that's extremely hot. You want your head coach to be the play caller, and he worked primarily with you, so nothing won't change during that tenure. As long as he's there, the offense won't change, the voices won't change. Perfect. And then if I'm him, I go and get some super heavy recruiters. There's a guy at BC, a defensive backs coach named Azar Abdul-Rahim. This guy is from the DMV area. He's from Washington, D.C., and he was a high school coach in D.C. He's big time. He is a future head coach in his own right. As a DB coach, you can bring him in as a DC, pair him with a Josh Gaddis, and then be able to keep somebody like Justin Hamilton on staff, maybe in a DB coach role. He loves the program, so maybe he just wouldn't want to leave, even though he would no longer be the DC. Or if you did keep him, guess who's available? Dan Mullen's guy, Todd Grantham, former Hokie great himself, Todd Grantham. You can bring him on in a certain capacity, maybe not as the defensive coordinator, but if he worked with Azar Abdul-Rahim, maybe as a linebackers coach or something like that. I have a whole bunch of different guys for that role right there. Possibly my number one guy would be Torrian Gray, the great Torrian Gray. That would be perfect in my opinion. You bring him back as a defensive coordinator. I think he's a DB coach for my guy Shane Beamer. Obviously, everybody's going to want to talk about Shane Beamer. That definitely would be up there too, but I don't know. I just can't see him leaving South Carolina after just one season, but anything's possible. But if you were to take his DB coach, Torrian Gray, and make him the defensive coordinator, think about all the guys that he worked with back in the day. I mean, he worked with when did he come? Man, he might have came after my boy Jimmy. So I would say he worked with Macho Harris and Cam Chancellor, my dude Aaron Rouse, Rock Carmichael, Brandon Flowers. Come on, man. Even probably guys was he there with Cody Grimm and them? So think about it, man. He has a lot of shit to sell. We know he's a fantastic recruiter. Him as the DC with a guy like Josh Gaddis, you know what I mean? Head coach of the offense, head coach of the defense type thing. Obviously, Josh Gaddis will oversee it all. But I think a guy like Torrian Gray, you could trust with that defense. And you definitely have to get yourself an ace recruiter. Torrian Gray is an ace recruiter, and he's a damn good football coach as well. So I like some of those ideas right there. Beyond that, this next one came across, wasn't something that I was thinking of, but my man Koa put me on game. Shout out to my boy Koa. He said that, I guess it's out there now, but Byron Leftwich may be courted. Byron Leftwich, a guy who I championed for my Washington football team, I wanted him to be the coach. They ended up going with Ron Rivera. I want Byron Leftwich to get his shot so bad. Think about that. Now, I'm going to say something, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, right? This is a different type of fan base than my southern fan base of people from covering Alabama and LSU and all those guys like that. Virginia Tech is a little bit different. Mid-Atlantic State, a black quarterback coach who calls his own plays, right? Obviously, Byron Leftwich was a very good quarterback. He was a quarterback at Marshall, so think about that, right? So right in West Virginia there. He is from Washington, D.C., the current Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator under who? Great Hokie, former Hokie coach Bruce Arians, one of the all-time great quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators. He loves Virginia Tech like nobody's business. If he's champion to perhaps lose his right-hand man, his hand-picked guy who he had in Arizona as a quarterback's coach, brought him to Tampa, made him an offensive coordinator. Bruce Arians always called his own plays. He trusted Byron Leftwich to call plays with a guy like Tom Brady, right? It started with Jameis Winston. They did some good work with him. Everybody will point to the interceptions and stuff, but they won't point to that 5,000 yards he had and over 30 touchdowns. Byron Leftwich was doing work with him. I wish he could have worked with Jameis a little bit longer. As we see in New Orleans, Jameis definitely learned from those guys there because he's doing a lot better in New Orleans before he got hurt. But his work with Tom Brady, obviously Tom Brady, people going to be saying, oh, he's his own offensive coordinator and everything like that. No, they're running that man's shit. They are running that Bruce Arians offense that was taught to Byron Leftwich. He is calling those plays. Byron Leftwich is around some really legendary people, and he is a legendary person to me, right? If you've ever been around that man, he was. I've been around him before. When I lived back in Georgia, he was actually spent a year with the Falcons. Right after Michael Vick obviously left the team, Byron Leftwich is that dude, man. Charismatic guy. Everybody likes Byron Leftwich. Always smooth talking, smiling. He always reminded me of Magic Johnson with his smile, and his X's and O's is brilliant. The guy knows the position like you wouldn't believe. Calls his own plays. There's no doubt in my mind he will be a fantastic recruiter, and kids will want to play for him. Under Bruce Arians, but from Washington, D.C., from the DMV area, and, of course, playing at West Virginia, obviously not a DMV state, but it's West Virginia, right there, right above us. So I might like that as much as Josh Gaddis, if not maybe even a little more. Probably not more, maybe just as much, because Josh Gaddis has obviously done the recruiting thing, and he's a lifelong college guy. Byron Leftwich would have to adjust to that. However, he could hire guys around him, like some of the guys that I mentioned, especially some of these Hokie guys that Bruce Arians will be able to obviously co-sign. Bruce Arians will know a Todd Grantham. I'm pretty sure he's familiar with Justin Hamilton if he's on staff. Definitely familiar with the Torrian Gray. He's also familiar with the guy I would like to see added back, and I know people may roll their eyes, but only in a certain capacity. Brian Steinspring. If you bring him back as an offensive line coach under Byron Leftwich, we know Steinspring can recruit. Obviously, he knows the area front and back. The type of knowledge that he can impart on a Byron Leftwich, I think, will be worth his weight in maroon, right? So a guy like Byron Steinspring, we can work with those same defensive coordinators that we talked about, whether it be Abdul Rahim or Torrian Gray or keep Justin Hamilton. Probably would want somebody a little bit more experienced if a guy like that is the head coach. But I want Justin Hamilton on the Hokie staff in some type of capacity. So if it's a defensive back coach, maybe just a safeties coach or something like that, I could rock with it. Let me know what you think about that. Byron Leftwich. That will be hard. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it right there because I'm going to have a whole bunch of these jumpers right here. I'm going to keep doing this, man. I'm excited. So I want to make sure that people watch this. Real men watch to the end. Nothing changes, even though it's the Hokie stuff. And Hokie people, man, make sure you tell another Hokie, man, holla at your boy. I want to get a Discord started with a few Hokies, and we can talk Hokies whenever we want, all right? So holla at your boy. Let me know what you think about those choices to those of you who actually watch. I know most people are going to be from other fan bases going to come and jump in and giving their 1 2 cents.
Want to recruit
I don't
the
give a fuck what you
DMV.
gotta say.
I want winners.
Watch, and you're going to say some good. All right, y'all, man. Peace. Let's go, baby.